If your son's a varsity wide receiver going into his junior or senior year and coaches are not calling the way you feel like they should be, stay with me for the remainder of this video because I'm going to show you exactly why that is happening and exactly what to do about it. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Damian Tominski, and online I go by Coach Dame. I played D1 football in Massachusetts at Stonehill College as a true freshman, and I did it coming from a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania called Penargil. I only had 460 kids in my high school. I had no connections, no recruiting service, and no one showing me the way and the path to Division One. I figured out the system completely on my own, and using that same system in high school, I went from zero to taking visits to D1 programs. I believe it was 9 D1 programs, FCS and FBS. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact system I used and the exact system I now use to help wide receivers go from unsigned to offers before spring of their senior year. I'm also going to show you how one of my athletes, Kai, who broke his collarbone his senior year, only played 4 games, had 0 visits before he started working with me, and still earned multiple Division I interests, went on D1 visits, earned a D2 offer, and ultimately committed to college. If you have a son who is working hard and not getting the true results they feel they deserve, this video is going to change how you think about the process. Just stay with me. So before we go in depth on Kai's story, let's talk about exactly what this is. This is Route Factory, the Route Factory scholarship system for wide receivers specifically. Again, built by a Division I receiver, proven by real athletes, and designed so your son never has to figure it out alone like I was forced to do. So let's take a look at the Route Factory 2026 class. So every single one of my athletes in the 2026 class is playing college football besides one, and the only person that is not playing football had over 3 offers and just decided he actually didn't want to play football anymore. Let's just start from the left and go to the right here. I also have other guys written down here because I couldn't fit all of the graphics in here. This is JJ on the far left. He went to Parkland High School. JJ went to, he went to Parkland High School, and JJ's target school was Muhlenberg. So all of my athletes that had a target school, most of them who had a target in mind actually got that target as their first offer and committed immediately. So that was the case for JJ. And something interesting about him is before he came in with us and got in the program, he only had 1 year of varsity film prior, and he didn't play football before that. So he told me he wanted to play at Muhlenberg. His dad set some records there. That's a college he wanted to play at. And right as they offered him, it was his first scholarship offer after he went on 3 visits, I believe. I think he got a decent package there, and he committed right as they offered. This is Kai, who's going to be the main story we're going to talk about more in depth later. Kai committed to Wilkes. I'm just going to breeze over him. He got a D2 offer from Seton Hill and got a D1 visit to Wagner, as well as other D1 connections and interest. This is Mayan here. Also, Kai went to Emmaus High School. This is Mayan here. He went to Blair Academy. He got an offer from Bucknell. He also got an offer from Columbia. He committed in the summer before his senior season, and he committed after his official visit. This is Zion here on the far right. He went to William Allen High School, and Zion was one of those guys. He wanted to go to Eastern. He went on the visit. He got offered, and he committed immediately. Down here, again, Kellen, one of those guys. He went to Freedom High School. He wanted to go to Susquehanna. Susquehanna offered him, and he committed right away. This is Zach Metzger here. He didn't have an exact target. He went to Penargil High School. He went to my old high school. He's one of those guys. He got 3 offers, and then he ultimately committed to your Sinus. I think he went on 4 or 5 visits before he committed. And this is Cam here, the only one of our guys who ultimately just decided to go to Penn State as a normal student. He went to Northampton High School. I know all this because I have a personal relationship with all of my guys. We don't just throw guys in the program. He went to Penn State. He got multiple offers, and when I was checking up on him, he just said, I think my career is done. He just decided to take that path. So something that's even more interesting about this class is most of them only started with us a couple months before their senior year. So this was in 2025, and what's even more interesting is that's when we were really just getting everything together. We're going on to our second full year now of coaching, getting to the back end, and these guys were mostly just doing training. They didn't have that much outreach strategy. They didn't have that much in-depth systems as my guys in the program now do, which is just very interesting. And as you see here, it says today, that is just the baseline of what we do because it is. Going on to the next slide here, going more in depth on who I am. I probably came from one of the worst recruiting situations in the country. I'm not saying there's not worse, but I know I said I went to Penargil High School. More specifically, I grew up in Plainfield Township in the Lehigh Valley. 460 kids were in my entire school, and the last person to play D1 football in college before me from Penargil was 2011 when my actually linebacker coach committed to Akron. He committed as a running back, and he set a bunch of school records at my school, and our offense since 2011 actually carried that trend of running the ball 90% of the time, just to get the little smack on the hand as well. No one going D1 before me, like 13 years, 12 years, and our offense was running the ball 90% of the time before I came through the school. When I told people D1 was my goal, a lot of people made fun of me for it, growing up, and even some of my family members, I did have supportive parents, but like extended family and this and that, thought it was kind of silly because they knew the odds, but we made it happen anyway. I had no system, no connections, and absolutely no blueprint. So I had no pipeline. I had no coach or mentor who had been through the recruiting process. NCSA seemed a little bit scammy, as I talked about in the intro, and me and my family almost went with it coming off my freshman year, I think, or coming off my sophomore year. And again, it seemed kind of scammy. We didn't end up going for it. And I had no wide receiver coaches in the area who knew what they were doing. I had like a streaky trainer or two. One guy like played like running back at Syracuse. He trained me like twice. And then I had like a linebacker from Lafayette College who was training me. But how was that going to help me as a receiver? I don't know. It was just very streaky, and I had no one really in my area. I also had bad outreach. I reached out to every college coach in the country from my dad's office, actually down here behind me my sophomore year. And I sent the messages that most recruits do, which is long copy and paste blocks of text. I sent hundreds of messages and I had almost zero responses. And I made a lot of the wrong moves. I saw on social media 7v7 was popping off. I joined 7v7 thinking it was the answer and showed up and realized the 4 and 5 star recruits that are at 7v7 already had those offers prior. And if anyone's getting offered at 7v7, it's because they're having a 7v7 tournament near the college coach's campus and they were already going to offer them based off their film. So I was doing a lot of things that did not move the needle at all. So I did end up figuring it out anyway. My first game day visit was a visit to UNH, which is the University of New Hampshire. And it was one of those visits where the college coach invited like 70 guys and I was just thrown together. So maybe it's because I did a little bit of that outreach. And from there, you could see it kind of started to snowball. I used a system that's now obviously improved and refined today. But it was kind of like the very OG of the system that I now have in place for my guys. I got junior days to Lehigh, Penn, Monmouth, went to FBS Delaware, Holy Cross, and I went on like one-on-one visits to Cornell, Colgate, Army, Navy, Yale, and a whole list. I got interesting connections from UAB, Illinois, Florida, Temple, Florida, and Villanova, and you guys get the point. Delaware was my first offer when they were going FBS. Stonehill offered second, and Brown was next. I ultimately did commit to Stonehill and played D1 as a true freshman from one of the worst recruiting situations in the country. When I literally tell you there was a powerhouse league right next to us, our school ran the ball, no one went D1 before me like 12 years prior. Anything that you could name about a bad recruiting situation, I pretty much had it. I had no guidance as well. So moving on to the next part here. Ultimately, I did end up burning out after playing D1 as a true freshman at Stonehill College. And I talk about this in my story highlight in my Instagram. And if you don't know about this, I'll go a little bit more in depth. What happened is it wasn't because I wasn't working hard. It was because I was actually working incredibly hard and trying to figure this out my whole life. And I was so focused on like proving everyone wrong. And I was working so hard in the wrong direction for too long without any real guidance. And I ultimately, along that way, basically lost my love for the game that I used to love, trying to get to that next level and play. And I kind of lost that joy, unfortunately, as a player. Thankfully, it led me here, but I did step away from playing football as a true freshman at the Division One level. What I realized from looking back at it, though, is I looked at the kid that I was. I was talented, I had good potential, I was working hard, and willing to do whatever it takes. And I realized how much faster and cleaner the process could have been if someone had just shown me the system and I could actually enjoy the fruits of my labor and actually be a kid a little bit while obviously pursuing D1. I'm not saying that you're just going to be able to lollygag around. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you understand that that's not the case at all, but it was a lot of misdirected effort and energy, which is what 98% of athletes do today. Again, how much wasted energy was misdirected? How many weeks are wasted on things that didn't move the needle? I truly did barely make it out. I know it might seem like I ended up with 3 Division One offers, but if I had the system that I have in place now, I truly think I could have had 30 offers, and it just would have been so much more enjoyable, and I would have been happier. I might be playing football right now going into my senior year, so who knows? That's when I basically started thinking about I need to coach people, and I built Route Factory. So that no athlete who comes through this program ever has to figure it out alone the way that I was literally forced to. And so that when they get on the other side, again, they can actually enjoy it. These are real families, and that's what I really love about what I do. These are real athletes and real results. I love the impact that I can make on athletes. And it's like almost in a way, by helping my athletes the best I can, I'm almost living out the dream in the life I couldn't, because obviously I did burn out and ultimately didn't really enjoy it once I got there because of, again, that whole story and kind of everything that happened personally with me. So let's get into who this is for. It says right here, is this you? This is for you if you have varsity film. So a wide receiver going into his junior or senior year with a real dream of playing college football. And football is something that you really, really love, especially if your son is or just finished his sophomore year. So is just in or finished your sophomore year, because the window you are about to enter is the most important recruiting window in your entire career. So this is for you if you're already putting in the work, but you haven't gotten any calls to the extent that you feel you deserve. You're going to camps or have gone to camps 7v7, have tried working with trainers, but coaches aren't calling the way, again, you feel like you deserve. Feels like the window is closing. Your family has already written checks, invested time, and you're not sure what to do next. So that would be written checks and spent money on the travel along with the 7v7 and the trainers, and you're also investing time. This is a big one here as well, which I wish someone would have told me earlier in high school. You need to run track, or if you don't, are willing to run track. Again, you have to be serious about becoming a complete athlete, not just a football player. This is also for the parents who is their son's biggest fan. My father was my biggest fan, and I feel like having a supportive parent and a supportive family behind you is very important. And for this program, it is necessary. So again, a parent who wants to support his son's dream, mom or dad wants to support their son's dream without pressure and invest in the right system with someone who's actually been through the process. So who this is not for. If you don't have varsity film, then this is not for you. JV film is not going to give coaches enough to evaluate. I'd rather be honest with you than just take your money and underdeliver. If you have a GPA below 3.0 and you can't maintain it, then this is not for you. Compliance departments run academic checks before college coaches could ever advocate for a recruit. So even if I get you and help you get on coaching a college coach's recruiting board, a bad GPA will kill an offer before it's ever even made, and I cannot fix that. So if you're not willing to run track, again, this is not for you. The athletes I produce the best results for treat themselves like complete athletes. You must already run track or commit to running track if you don't already before joining the program. And if you guys are looking for mass email recruiting services, this approach gets filtered straight to spam. And I know this because my coaches were the ones receiving those emails. And I will tell you firsthand, they get deleted every single time. And if this is a full family decision, you need to make sure that everyone is involved, watches this call before booking the call, because both parents 100% do need to be aligned before we speak. I'll get into that a little bit later. So this is the truth that nobody says out loud. Your son can actually earn an offer before spring of his senior year, a scholarship offer, without being a four-star, without going to a powerhouse big program, and without any prior connections. I know that because, again, as I've mentioned before and talked about, I did it, and so did majority of the athletes that I just showed you. None of them went to any crazy big powerhouse programs. So now moving on to the next slide. This is why most wide receivers never get there, and it almost has nothing to do with talent. I'm going to talk about this right here. It's compelling film, the conversion process, and targeted outreach. Those are kind of the main pillars. Most athletes are missing all three, and the limiting belief that you don't have size or it's just speed or he's not at the right school, that's going to basically hold your son back and cost you your opportunity, just having that mindset in the first place. So now kind of going more in depth on the process and why most people never get there from right to left, as we see here. We help you with targeted outreach. So the schools that you want to go to with the right outreach process so we actually get coaches' attention. We move to the conversion process so we can actually get phone numbers of coaches, and then we justify everything with compelling film. So if we don't have film, essentially these two steps before don't really matter because it always trickles down to compelling film. Most people don't even know how to reach out the right way in the first place, which obviously we help with that, and then we help with the conversion process, actually getting your film in front of their eyes, getting their number, getting you on visits. It all leads to the film though first, and that's ultimately what puts all of it together. So again, speed is not the whole story. As I mentioned before, a lot of guys blame speed. They blame their small school. They blame their size, but it's really not. What actually moves the needle isn't just running a blazing fast 40 at camps, because I didn't. Two of the three programs that offered me, I never even went to their camp. They never even invited me to camp, and they didn't even know what my 40-yard dash time was. Crazy enough. They offered me because my film was set up right, and it showed the right things. My outreach was targeted, as we talked about in this slide prior right here. We had targeted outreach as the first step. And my profile on X gave them enough reason to invest before I ever stepped on their field. When you have the film, you have the profile, and you have the right outreach, coaches are not just responding, they are actually coming at you, and you start getting the snowball effect. So on the left here, I just have a little bit of kind of like testimonials, little proof screenshots here. This is one of my athletes. Hey, coach, just received my first response, showing that the outreach, kind of what we do. This is another athlete here, just talking about how I appreciate and care about his craft, kind of thanking me for the guidance and everything. He has a tough situation at home with his dad, and just kind of giving me, I guess, some flowers there. I love all my guys. I appreciate my guys. And this is another one of my guys saying he's looking at old videos. He feels like he's gotten 100 times better. It's actually insane. Just showing a little bit of what the program actually does for our guys. I can't fit every screenshot in the world on here. So now getting into the main case study of the day, which is Kai, and it's one that every family should hear. This is him on the right here when he committed to Wilkes. It's the graphic that we made for him. So Kai came in before his senior year, and after working with him throughout the whole summer within the program, he actually ended up breaking his collarbone, and he only played 4 games. He had his junior varsity film, but he had 0 visits and 0 offers and literally 0 recruiting momentum. I don't think he had any connections with Division 1 or Division 2 schools before his senior year, and most of the people would have said the window was already closed. By the end of the year, and this was one of those guys who was in the group when all of this wasn't even put together yet, what my guys have now in the program, by the end of this year, of his senior year, he went on a D1 visit to Wagner. He got a D2 offer from Seton Hill. He committed to Wilkes University, and he has a transfer plan in place. We talked about placing him and kind of what's the best for him with his situation, because he did end up getting recruited a little bit later because of his collarbone, but he still earned Division 1 visits, guys. This is very possible with only 4 games of film. 4 games of film, and I forget what other schools, like Eastern Illinois University, he had like Bryant hit him up. He had a bunch of other FCS schools as well, but he only had 4 games of his senior year film. He didn't even get to apply fully what we were doing, and he still basically made it out of the mud and made the best decision for him and his family. So this is kind of pillar 1 of our programs, which is film development. Now, I was talking about before, the other 2 steps leading up to it, not that there is only 2 steps, but the other 2 steps leading up to it don't matter if your film isn't developed. So this is how Route Factory's training actually works and what goes on inside our program. So generic training normally looks like this. You show up to a group session, you get in line, you run drills, your trainer watches 2 to 3 reps, gives generic corrections, and he moves on. And you don't know specifically what's wrong with you, no plan to fix it, and you're repeating the same mistakes at full speed and calling it development. That's what most guys do. What we do every Monday, this call gets moved around. Sometimes we might move it to Tuesdays, but at the recording of this video, it is Monday. I personally watch every submitted clip from my athletes. So my athletes get drills within the program, which we'll talk about later. They prop up their phone, they record them working out, and they submit their clips at the end of the week. It's super simple. It's the easiest part of the entire program. Literally a 3-year-old could do it. So on a group call, we're calling out everyone's specific mechanical flaws. And after that, after you're learning from not only your own mistakes, but learning from other people's mistakes, then I do assign you your personal correction drills for next week. It's not generic. It's specifically what you're doing wrong. You already learned it on the group call. I'll send you a personal message after. So what happens is you submit it, we correct it on the group call, and then you take those corrections, and next week you do them at the back end of next week's workouts. So we're constantly in that correction loop where you're improving, and we just repeat it, and the loop never stops. So this is a 16-week program built specifically for wide receivers, built around your life. So I was a student athlete. As you see here, all is built around a realistic student athlete weekly schedule. I know people need to balance, again, track. They need to balance their academics, and they have their team stuff. This is all built to fit into a realistic weekly schedule. All of our meetings are later, and during the summer, things get moved around, but I have you guys' schedule in mind. It's specifically 3 position days per week. So this is your route running. We also do hand and eye coordination drills. It's like with a tennis ball. Obviously, I'm not throwing a football, but we can get your hand and eye coordination just as good by giving you these tennis ball drills and actually getting your hand and eye coordination right. And we do the individual corrections on the days when we're not doing the positional days. You're going to have mobility days. You need to be loose, obviously, wide receiver specific mobility work that helps you build your athleticism over time. If you're not loose, you're not going to be able to move right. So we basically build it from the ground up. We do have all season in-person tracks. This is just basically when you have other things going on, we adjust the volume accordingly, so everything can coexist and the program works around your life. We also do have, and we'll get into more of the guarantees that we have later, but we also do have a 60-day film guarantee. So within 60 days, every athlete can point to visible, measurable improvement. And if they don't, we continue coaching them at no additional cost. So most athletes feel changes in just 1 to 2 weeks on average, though. So that's why we do have that development guarantee, that film guarantee in place as well, because even after, again, 1 to 2 weeks, I'm so confident. If you guys have 60 days, I've never had an athlete not see crazy progress. So coaches love to see development from your sophomore to junior year on film or your junior to senior year. That trajectory is one of the most powerful recruiting signals you can send. Again, all built around a realistic student weekly schedule. Now, this is what most coaches see when they press play on film, and this is what bad film is versus good film. Bad film is just getting open because the DB isn't great. There's no signs of attacking leverage, no efficiency within the route, and no purpose behind movement. Good film, it's influencing the DB with intentional stems, efficient route shapes. You're running your routes efficiently, and you're reading coverage and adjusting accordingly. You're attacking leverage at the top of your routes, and you're making plays in open field, tucking the ball, and coming back to the ball correctly. our correction loop that we have closes that gap permanently week over week. So the next season, you don't have those gaps on film. You know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it. And that's what changes a recruit's trajectory. If a college coach is trying to recruit you, they're probably going to look at your year prior's highlights. And if you haven't improved that much, well, they're probably saying this guy's pretty much capping off and he's not kind of the guy we might want to recruit. So this is pillar 2 that we have, how to actually do the recruiting outreach, how to get coaches to see your film. What doesn't work? Again, recruiting services that blast emails, coaches know exactly what those look like. They go straight to trash. And the Huddle link that has ads on it, yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. You don't want to be sending that out. Coaches don't click Huddle from kids they don't know, and it's just wasting time because the ads just come up, and there's so much that actually goes into a good highlight tape. So this is an example of a right first match. Copy this, paste this. Either way, if you don't decide to hop on a call with me and my team, which we're going to talk about later, at least take this because it's going to help you. You want to make it personal. So an example is, hey, Coach Patterson, love watching you guys play last week. One hell of a game. Like you could just say specifically what opponent they played. Just wondering if you're looking for your year, maybe 2028 and position. So it's personalized, short, and it entices a response from coach. So you stand out in an inbox with thousands of other recruits. That's the difference between spam and a real conversation. So this is what I was sending out right here when I was in high school. And this is what majority of guys are sending out. They're sending this long block of text. This is like going into my senior year, I believe. Hi, my name is this. I was this. It's just so long. Coaches don't have time to read it all. Just get straight to the point. This is what I tell my guys to send. We have them right here. This is kind of examples of what you should send. Email, Twitter, kind of the same gist. So our full system, we also have outreach trackers. We have daily targets for our guys to hit with the recruiting side, full coaches contact list of every wide receiver coach in the country. We have follow-up sequences so guys know exactly what to say within the process. And that's so coaches never go cold. And we primarily use X because coaches at higher levels are normally on X. The lower you go, the coaches will check email more. It's kind of reverse. So moving on to the next slide here. Again, your profile is your first impression. So a coach clicks your name before they ever first respond. An optimized X profile is also critical for recruiting. This is what my guy Diego's X profile looked like before he got in with us and before we optimized it. I don't have the after picture here because I couldn't fit it in, but a X profile is critical when you're trying to get recruited. When a coach gets your first message, the first thing they do is click your son's name and click on the profile. And if the coach isn't basically pushed to scroll to your profile and can get all the information he needs at first glance, then you're probably going to be passed up. They literally have that many recruits in their inboxes, guys. They don't have time to go through every single recruit unless you're standing out. Obviously, that's what the whole goal is. So what they see in that moment determines whether the conversation continues or dies right there. And we build the profile as part of the system. Kai used the tools when were first starting to get everything assembled, and coaches still responded. One response became a visit, then the visit became an offer, and then it just snowballed from there. That's how it happens for majority of our guys. Pillar 3, we have accountability and consistency. So every guy that signs up with us, and if you're even watching this video right now, we don't work with guys that aren't consistent in the first place, but we do have these things in place as well because structure is what separates committed from just interested. So we do have a weekly check-in survey. So we do training completions. We ask you how training felt, any issues, and I read all of these before the film breakdown call so nobody ever goes silent without me noticing. And we use these check-ins to constantly improve the program. We have a private wins community, so our athletes are seeing other guys win. They can also ask us questions there, push each other. And also all of my guys have my personal number, or at the time that you're seeing this, they have messaging access one-on-one with me in the training app we use. So aside from just the asking the questions in the private community and the one-on-one calls, which I'll talk about later, and the group calls, they also have messaging access with me. And when your teammate, not your teammate, but the other people that are in the program are posting, a coach is responding to them going on visits and getting offers, it is really motivating. And that's something I truly believe in as a coach. It's really good for athletes to see. It's like healthy competition. So again, it's right here. We also do have our bi-weekly one-on-one calls. So sometimes we do move these monthly if the athlete's like really killing it and we don't need it, but we really don't ever do that. We might actually increase how much we have these one-on-one calls, but we always have scheduled strategy calls with me directly. So it is one-on-one mentorship. We talk about your specific recruiting situation, your specific goals. This is not just a course you buy and forget. This is an ongoing relationship we have with our guys. And something that's very interesting is I've never had a family ever sign up with me and not continue. That's why I say I truly do believe it's an ongoing relationship. Just thought it was a little cool fact to throw in there. So when all 3 of the pillars are working together, this is what I call the snowball effect. This is why when guys are trying to train alone, they don't realize how much they're actually missing out on because they don't allow themselves to snowball because they don't have any of these things in place, or they're missing 1, 2, or 3 of these things. So we have the correction loop, and we're consistently getting better through that. We have a stronger profile. You get improved film. You're going to get more responses, and momentum builds. This is what happened to me. This is what happened to Kai, and it happened to multiple athletes in this program. That does not happen with a generic training program or a recruiting service that doesn't even know your son's name. College coaches are like leeches, guys. I'm not saying they're just going to offer you because they see that you're getting interest from other coaches, but definitely they do kind of leech on and start reaching out to you. And some coaches trust other coaches as well from other programs. They know they're good at recruiting. So when they see one coach start talking to you and you're visiting and you're getting an offer, that's why all the coaches start flocking. So we teach within the program kind of how to actually leverage that to our advantage. So moving on to the next slide here. Again, this is real families and we get real results. This is a picture of my guy Diego and his family. They flew in from Mexico actually, and they were on a little Easter break in New York. And I drove out from Pennsylvania to go see them in New York. I also have screenshots that I couldn't include here of athletes making their 7v7 teams, athletes getting visits scheduled. Again, that message of the athlete before saying, athlete X saying he got 100 times better since joining, messages from coaches, offers, commitments. And this is ultimately what happens when the system is executed intentionally and correctly. Real personal attention behind every correction and every recruiting decision. This is a little picture of my guy Mayan here. He was voted for one of the best players in the state of New Jersey. Absolutely killer. So, this is everything you get inside Route Factory that we mentioned before. We get the group call every week, so I'll personally review every submitted clip and call out your specific corrections. We also do post-review football IQ. We do X and O breakdowns, and we do game film education. So basically, we'll just talk about the X and O's of football aside from just training stuff. So guys are actually prepped, understand leverage, coverage, how to actually attack it on the football field and carry it over, learning from a former Division I player. So we also do have that weekly individual correction that I talked about before. You'll get your personal drills assigned to you after every call based on what I saw on your specific film. So you're always constantly improving with that correction loop. We have the complete 16-week wide receiver program with the in-season and off-season tracks. So again, we do have the hand-eye coordination as well. We have the mobility, everything built for receivers and student athletes. We have the recruiting and mindset group call where we talk about the outreach strategy, film positioning, recruiting process, and obviously, again, learning from someone who actually went through it at the D1 level. I love to talk mindset as well to just help my guys make it as easy as possible for them to implement all these things and help them adapt the right mindset in order to make it easier for them to get to the next level and actually accomplish the things that they're trying to accomplish within their recruiting and within their life, honestly. And we also do have these bi-weekly one-on-one strategy calls that I mentioned before. Again, your specific situation, your plan, your direct access to me. That's where we talk about everything just specifically you. So we do have more guarantees that I told you I was going to talk about prior because I do 100% stand by this program. We have a 7-day money back guarantee. So if you join the program, you'll get access to everything. You can go through your first 7 days. And if for any reason it isn't the right fit, you message me. Obviously, you're going to have all of my contacts when you're signing up. You'll have all the touch points. I will refund every single dollar that you guys put in, 100% money back guarantee. No questions asked, no hard feelings. I'm that confident that once you join, you will not want to leave. Also, like I mentioned before, we have the film improvement guarantee. If you don't see the measurable progress improved on film, I continue working with them beyond the 16 weeks. If for some rare case, which I've never had someone actually had to use this because our program works, but continue working with you guys for no additional cost until we actually do see that. The only way this doesn't work is if he's just simply not doing his work. That's pretty much it. So this is not a cheap course. This is a serious investment for families who are serious about their son's future. And we do only work with a limited number of athletes because of just the time we have available, because we're doing the one-on-one calls with the group calls with the individual corrections. So just naturally, there is a cap. So before you do book, one thing I need to say, this is a family decision. And for most families, obviously, it is. Make sure everyone involved watches this video before booking the call. And if both parents are a part of this decision, they both need to be fully aware and aligned before the call. The call is typically 25 to 45 minutes at most. And on the call, we will go through, and at the moment of this recording, I'll personally go through your son's situation, verify he's a fit, and if he is, we talk about moving forward. So again, D1 boards do start filling June 15th of a player's sophomore to junior year. Every week without a system is a week a coach is evaluating someone else. So the athletes who earn offers started building in the summer. This is why I said specifically, if you're going into your junior year, this is really for you. And if you're going into your senior year, it's really go time now. This is not the time to kick it up during fall of your senior year, during your senior season, and look around and wonder what happened, because those are the guys who are watching their favorite teams play on Saturday nights, not actually playing on Saturday nights. So the window is open right now. Stop waiting and build the plan. Again, I have a limited number of spots per week because this is one-on-one mentorship. And when those spots fill, they're gone until the following week. We only have a set amount of athletes that we literally physically can take from a week-to-week basis. So the goal for all of our athletes is to earn a scholarship offer before spring of their senior year without having to go to a powerhouse program, without a crazy 40 time, or without connections. Again, the method is the Route Factory scholarship system, where we go over film development, the targeted outreach, accountability, replicating exactly what Kai, Mayan, and myself personally went through. So the next step is to book your verification call if you fit the requirements. Make sure you're coming with your family or the decision maker. Come ready, come prepared with your family fully aligned before the call, and let's build your son's path to college football. So if you and your family are truly ready, and I mean fully committed to earning scholarship offers and maximizing your son's chances of playing college football, hit the link in the description below to book your call to talk with us and see if you'd be a good fit. And if your son is not yet going into his junior or senior season, as long as he has varsity film like we talked about, a 3.0 GPA he can maintain, runs track, or is willing to commit to it and has already invested in camps, 7v7, or training and wants to get ahead, this does apply to you too. You could also DM the word ready at Route Factory on Instagram, link below, if there's no time slots available that work for you in the description. And we can get you booked in through the DMs over there. And if we get on that call and it's not the right fit, worst case scenario, I'll tell you exactly where your son stands in his recruiting process, what he needs to do next, and point you guys in the right direction. You'll leave that call knowing more about your situation than you did going in. I 100% promise that to you guys. And if you did find this video helpful, which I hope you did, hit subscribe, because I do put out content every week on here about recruiting, wide receiver development, and everything that actually moves the needles for these specific athletes. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing if you'd be a good fit.